Okay. Well, this is Bob Straw, and this is March 24th, 1995. Bob is a former selectman, former fire chief,
Right?
and what else?
Well, I was a policeman at one time,
Policeman too.
and
Oh, God.
I was on the budget committee, and I was on trustee of trust funds at one time.
Good heavens. Well, I saw that picture of you in 1940. So you were a selectman when?
I think I started in, Barbara and I were speaking about it at noontime. I think it was, what was it, 1930, what?
37?
About 37.
Wow.
And I served 2 terms then. And at that time, while we were doing that, we signed the fellows and myself up for military service.
What do you mean? You were the draft board too? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean that the selectmen had to sign the people up for the selective service.
Oh, well, I guess I'm confused. What is that different from the draft board?
No, it was prior to the draft board.
Oh, prior.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think those are probably as interesting years as I ever lived. I was served
Really?
on the board with a lot of good men.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Williams, Spider Williams,
Oh, really? Yeah.
and Dennis Tanner,
Oh, I didn't know him.
Bill Hunter, and
Oh.
yeah, and Roy Matthews, who lived up in the village there.
Hmm.
Forrest Hodgson,
A lot of them.
right?
All the old names in Tuftonboro.
Right. Those times were quite different than they are today. We, in the spring before town meeting, we had to spend a couple of weeks at the town hall. My wife and I were living up at Turkey Ridge. And many days I had to walk all the way down to the town hall.
What?
Then
Oh, mud.
After the election, the town election, we had to make out our books. We had a lot of books that had the names of all the people in town.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of the selectmen had a book for the roads. And it was designated as a mountain road,
Mm-hmm.
and the middle road, and the south road, which it
Yeah.
is today. I mean,
Yeah,
there's numbers now.
Charlie was telling us about that.
And then, after that, after the town meeting, the big fight of the year was all over, you know? Then we had to go down there again and start in and get our books, as I said.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, what do you mean by the books? What did you do with the books?
The blotter books. I mean, you had to put all the names of all the taxpayers
Oh.
in there,
Oh.
into those books. And then the chairman had the book with the non-residents.
Mm-hmm.
The first day of April, you had to take a trip around and appraise all the cattle, horses, livestock, dogs, and so forth.
You didn't have a board of assessors? The selectmen?
We
had to
were
do
the
it.
assessors.
You were the assessors?
Yeah.
Good.
And then later in the season, when, well, probably along in June, then we'd spend another week or 2 going around looking at property and reassessing. So forth. But it was
Oh, heavens.
quite a...
It was a full-time job.
Yeah, took a lot of time.
Yeah. Now they don't have to do that
Then later
kind of
I
thing
served
anymore.
on the board with Charlie and Roy Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and those were good years too. We used to take a trip about every day that we were there. At noontime, we'd take a trip around different parts of town. And some years ago, while I was serving Dennis Tutter and Roger and Horace Richardson from Moultonboro preambulated the town line
Oh, yeah.
from Ball Peak to over at the Ospey Mountains. And that was quite an interesting day. Roger, of course, was a surveyor,
Oh,
and
that's
he
good.
he guided us through.
Uh-huh.
But how Richardson happened to be with us was that the older town challenged the younger town to do it. And
Oh.
probably that was the last time that it's ever done, and I doubt if it will ever be done again. We started in the morning from Bill's place. We had done the Ball Peak end from hunters from Ball Peak Farm. And it was when we got over there, over where the marker is, it was dark.
Oh, my goodness.
Bill had a setter dog that started with us, and we thought we'd have to lug him. He was so tired.
Of course, poor
But,
baby.
Uh,
That was a
we
full-day
got-
trip.
we got over there, and Margaret, Bill's wife, was supposed to meet us, and she got fouled up somehow, and she didn't meet us, so we walked all the way out, all the way out to Center Ospey,
Good grief.
and went in and had a cup of coffee and called her.
Oh.
And I know that I'm right on this because sometimes as life goes on, you think you've done something and then you question yourself whether you haven't. Well, about the last year that Roger was living, I was over there, and I told him the story, and I said, "Is that right, Roger?" And he stuttered a little bit, you know, and he says, "You're just right." He said, "I can remember."
Really? Good grief. Well, they still walk the bounds, don't they? Once in a while.
If they do it today, the way they do it, they go from marker to marker.
Not necessarily walking
No,
the bounds.
not walking, no.
Uh-huh.
But interesting, all the way back through, as we went through the mountain, people who had done it before had curved the trees on each side, you know.
Yeah,
And those marks, of course, they were not fresh, but I mean, they were visible,
they're there.
and you could see them. I mean, and the other ones, we went point to point.
Oh. Well, you have to do the Ospey line too.
Yes, we did the Ospey line, but what we did there was a very simple thing. We met the Ospey selectmen at the point, and that was it. That's kind of an interesting thing, the Tuftonboro marker. It's up near Corner Pond, in beyond Corner Pond, and it's in the woods, right in the woods. I don't think Charlie had seen it until he and I went in there that time, and Thad Coleman was with us. It's just a tall split stone, and it's marked T-O-M. Tom Hunter always claimed it was his stone.
Yeah, why T-O-N?
Tuftonboro, Ossipee, and Moultonboro. Right.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, there's a cemetery. Incidentally, that's, of course, a little part of Tuftonboro over there. I should have mentioned that to begin with. You don't think of that as such, but Tuftonboro, in order to get to that part, you've got to go to Ospey, Center Ospey,
Yeah.
and go back up in there. And then, you know, we have a little development over in there on Dan Old Pond.
Well, you have Camp Sentinel, is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about going over through Center Ospey and going way up in the mountain by Corner Pond. And there's a little peak of the diamond
Oh my gosh.
up in there.
Huh. Is there a
Right.
trail or a road to it? Or-
There's a road, a logging road that goes up to it. So-
Interesting.
Right.
Never knew that.
What else you think we got to talk about?
My golly. Huh. Boundaries. That's great. But in the old days, you really had a lot of duties as
Oh, yeah,
selectmen.
yeah.
Now they just go down once a week and
Nothing to it.
Then,
nothing to it.
might be interesting to mention the fire department. Tuftonboro for years didn't have any fire department or anything along the line of firefighting. And I think it probably was around 1937, I'm sure it was 1937. Milton Bean was on the Board of Selectmen. I served with him, with Bill Hunter too. And they started to think about fire equipment. And it was quite a job. A lot of people didn't think we should have it. They couldn't afford it, you know. I mean, people were pretty tight-fisted in those days.
What would happen?
Well, we had to pay Wolfboro. And of course, Wolfboro was getting a bigger town and had, you know, less equipment that they could afford to use here. So we finally bought the Maxim, which the town still owns, 1937. And then we had that went on for a long time. Melvin Fire Station was next to the garage, of course.
Was that the first
at
one?
that time. That's right, yes.
Oh.
And it was a real battle getting it.
I would think so.
There
All
was
volunteers.
an old chap that lived down below me, a woodman. He was deathly opposed to it. And the fire chief from Wolfboro came up with brought a little fire water with him. And the old fellow was addicted to it quite a lot.
Uh-huh.
So he got him outside, so he didn't have a chance to, if he could have influenced anyone. And they got the fire department anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Then it went on, and we had a fire up at Don March's up in Melbourne. And in the process of the thing, our old 1937 engine blew up. More. And then we had quite a to-do. I mean, they wanted to buy new equipment, and it got into a real wrangle, you know, how it goes.
Of course,
I mean,
of course.
and so they tabled it. Didn't do a thing that year. And the next year, they came in and they bought a Farah piece of equipment and built the station out here at Mirror Lake.
Uh-huh.
Well, then the fire department at that point really was started to organize, and you had people who had come back from the service that understood organization. They understood that you had to have it to have anything. And it began to pick up. And we built the Melbourne station the next year.
Oh, I thought you said Melvin was first.
Big pardon.
I thought you said Melvin was the first station.
It was the first station, but we built the station. I'm speaking of the new station across the street. See, you had the old wooden one across the street by the garage.
Oh.
Then we built this new one. And we bought another piece of fire equipment. And then it's gone on from that to be a real asset to the town. I mean, of course, this first responders is really a wonderful thing.
Well, you think how widespread Tuftonboro is. You
Right.
really need a department that can really cover the area.
My father and my mother moved down to Tuftonboro Neck here in 1901. And my father built a little house down below here and worked around the camps and different things of that sort. And then they bought this property here in 1911. And he worked for William Plant, who was Tom Plant's brother. And they bought the land from the Thomases down on the shore here. And he had horses and they worked that way. then he bought, I said he bought this in 1912. But Tuftonboro Neck was made up mostly of Wiggins and Wendells and Thomases. Old Will Thomas, the old gentleman that I remember, told about his father came up from Portsmouth on horseback and staked out a piece of land here.
Oh my gosh.
And they owned practically the half of the neck. They owned from the down at the cemetery, that road that goes all the way across there. The family owned that. And this property that Marriott and the other folks down there, Hurlbut Slate, all belonged to him at one time, which was quite a chunk of land, and I mean pretty valuable
Of course.
piece of land today.
Did he buy it just for the summer use?
It was bought for summer use.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it was bought. Hurlbut bought what is now Sly's and developed it and built a barn there. Andy Doe built the barn. Andrew Doe, he was one of the big builders in Wilbur for years. And a little story that goes with that. I was up with the Masonic organization up on Castle in the Clouds. We had a dinner up there one time. And Ed Booty, who was the Iceman in Wilbur, came up. He was pretty feeble. And I went and got his dinner, and he said, "Sit down, Bob, I want to talk to you." And so he told me about building the barn down here at the Hillbert farm. He and Howard Bean, who was Ossipee Oil, Wilbur Oil,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
father,
Yeah.
hauled all the gravel or sand that went into it, and they mixed all the cement in a mortar pan. And the barn is a big, big structure.
Yeah.
And done, I mean, up to date. It's got cement beams, and it's hard to believe that two men, but they mixed it all in the mortar pan and all the
Good heavens.
to do it.
Oh.
I always thought that was interesting.
Well, the people did then. You wouldn't find people doing that kind of thing now.
No, I don't think they'd have the strength to do it.
I wouldn't think how.
No. Of course,
Toys and all that kind of thing, lifting.
right.
When you see all the stone walls today,
Oh, I know it.
they really worked hard.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing was, like up at where the beach is, up by the bay, you know, 19 Mile Bay. I can remember when I was a small kid that we used to go up to my grandfather's, which was up on the Dame Road, and my father would stop and let the horse drink in front of where the log cabin was, walk out there, and there was an old, I took the picture up and showed it to the engineers, just an old stone abutment bridge and flanks, and gray bridge rails across the, over where the bridge is now. Because that was all swamp in there.
Yeah.
And Union Wharf, where Union Wharf is, they used to raft logs in there in the wintertime, you know. And they'd haul them all the way down from, well, all the way down from up on the hills over in Tuftonboro, and just put them in full length. They went right in full length logs.
Yeah.
And then, come spring, they'd tow them down to Wilbur or over to Laconia, one or the other. Mostly at Wilbur. And they'd go in.
How do they tow them and tie them together?
A steamboat.
somehow?
What they did, they put the logs in, and then they had dogs that they drove into the logs and chained them together, or pinned them together.
Oh.
And this was all around the outside, and then of course the logs were all floating on the remainder of it. Then they, of course, used steamboats in those days. There was a lot of steamboats on the lake back in the... Generally they would tow in the evening, when the wind was down.
Oh, I was just gonna say, why
A lot of
evening?
times they'd just tie up for the day and wait until evening and then start out
That makes sense,
and tow them in.
yeah. But where in Wolfboro would they take them?
They took them right through the bridge, under the bridge, and up to, I think there's a little shop there now. A little,
Up by the Excelsior Mill you're talking about? That bridge?
you know where the restaurant is?
Yeah.
Down there, what do they call it? What's the name of it?
Bailey's?
No.
Oh,
You go down, it's off from Mill Street, go straight out.
Back Bay?
Back Bay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Back Bay Boathouse.
Oh,
Back Bay
okay,
Boathouse.
yeah.
I can remember seeing a pile of sawdust there when I was going to high school. It was probably 3 times as big as this house. And high, I mean, because they had they blew the sawdust out from the mill. And it kept piling up. And then gradually they'd level it out. So there's an awful lot of sawdust in there.
All right. Well, where was the mill then? About where the restaurant is now?
No, the mill was right, as you go down that street, Mill Street,
Yeah.
and turn left. It was right on the corner there. It was,
Like where Hampshire Pewter is now? Are we talking about the same spot?
yes, only it was closer than the pewter
Uh-huh,
place. It was right very close to the street.
uh-huh,
It was quite a complex. I mean,
yeah.
there's, up at the historical building, there's pictures of the people working at the mill.
Mm-hmm. So that's where these logs would go. They go right
They go down
to-
there, right?
into
See,
Wal-
then what they did, they had to cut them.
Mhm, yeah.
And then they had a one windlass thing that put them on and brought them up. And brought them into the mill, up to the mill.
Mhm.
That was an awful job working in the water all the time.
Oh, I think so. So that was done primarily in the springtime? Wouldn't want-
Mostly in the spring because
Yeah.
these boats, a good many of them
Yeah.
come summer, they had tourists that they,
Mhm.
and then they did fishing parties.
Yeah.
I can remember when I was a young fellow, my father was caretaker at this William Platt's place down there.
Mhm.
And you could go out and you could hear these steamboats going just
Oh,
like that. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
they were quiet, you know,
Yeah.
and no big wave or anything.
Yeah.
Fishing, it was really great.
Yeah, I love it when I can hear that, those boats going by.
Yeah,
Looking out of Lee's Mills in
right, yeah,
September.
yeah,
It's so quiet. Really. And as you say, hardly any weight to it.
right. And then,
Great.
I can also remember, there was the old Lakeshore Railroad, you know, that went from Rochester to Laconia. And I could look across between Diamond Island and you could see the train go by
No.
every day.
Now you look over on that side of the lake and there's no
All you can see
evidence
is
of
condominium.
tracks at all, I know.
Get down there at night
Yeah.
now, and you look over and it's just all lights all over the place. Ah.
I can remember coming up here for a vacation. Let's see, I met my husband in 41. And it was that summer. We went to the L&A, a friend of mine.
Right?
And we stopped to eat at, it must have been the Old Bailey's, overlooking Lake Wentworth. And there were logs down in that water.
Yeah, well, that's
Now,
where
maybe it
they,
wasn't Wentworth, maybe it was, oh dear, that lake behind the hospital,
Crescent Lake.
Crescent Lake, yes,
Yeah.
that's where we
Yeah.
saw the wood.
Yeah,
logs. Yeah,
Crescent Lake was full,
mm-hmm,
and the basin out here was chock-a-block full, I mean, all over
Really?
the place. And then, of course, that area up and back of Clow's Mill, they put them in there. That was the timber from the 1938 hurricane.
oh, of course,
And this Andy Doe that I mentioned before, Barbara's father worked at the mill. He marked at the mill.
Oh,
And they sawed practically all of that. He had a sawmill down by Charlie Roselle's,
mm-hmm.
and then he put a mill in down by the old cow mill, and sawed down there.
So all of that wood was processed in Wilbur.
Well, yes, and you know,
Yeah.
even
But then
though
where would it go?
well, that was just about the time we started to build barracks and things of that nature, and it was a godsend. I mean, they had
Yeah, that's true.
They had the lumber. Down here at the old Thomas farm, the fields were all full of boards, you know, where they'd stacked them.
Mm-hmm. Well, the
That hurricane and the work that it provided thereafter
yeah.
was, as far as this part of the country is concerned around here, it was about the end of the 1932 Depression. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
most everybody went to work, and then it was, the war came along, and everybody did go to work, had to.
Yeah. Yeah, thinking of the war, Bill Wood was talking at the meeting yesterday of Bicentennial Committee about he has discovered more than 70 names of veterans who have left Tuftonboro since World War II.
Yeah.
So they're going to have another new memorial that they put up on the Davis Field somewhere. It's amazing when you think of it.
I think that was pretty thorough, the one that was there.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
spent quite a lot of time going over that and making sure.
He said he's found, I think, one or two more names that should have been included, but that will now be included on the new memorial. But
Where are they going to put the new?
they're talking about Davis Field behind the new backstop when they get that up.
Oh,
Because they have to move the present one for the school construction. So that'll all be changed.
Davis Field was named for Roger Davis. You remember Roger that was in the garage?
I don't think so. I came
Oh,
here in
his brother.
76. so-
Willis Davis.
Mm.
You remember him. You must remember. He was killed he was aboard the Meredith, I believe, the ship, the destroyer. And I can't tell you where, but it was out near the Philippine Islands.
Yeah.
Now, after we signed up the guys over there that day, and I guess about 3 months went along with them.
I was going to ask you if you had
Yeah,
served too.
yeah.
I
I
figured
put
you
4
would.
years
Yeah.
in Germany.
Well, how old are you, Bob?
83.
Good heavens. Certainly don't look it. Oh, dear. Yeah, because I think that Charlie is, the way I was figuring this, I should have asked him when I talked with him. I think he's around 75, maybe 70.
Yeah, I think that's
Something
about
like
right.
that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you've lived in town all your life then?
I was born in that front bedroom,
Uh-huh.
and with the exception of a few years I was in the service, and a few years that Barbara and I worked away from home, I've lived in this house ever since.
Yeah. A real home to you, yeah?
Yeah. I wouldn't want any other place for a home now.
No, of course not. No. Do you have children?
Big time.
Do you have children?
One
Yes, daughter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Florida. They like the cold weather.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
No
Cat-
grandchildren.
No grandchildren?
No grandchildren.
Oh, dear.
What else can we talk about? You name something.
Well,
Talk about it.
How about the fire in '59?
Oh, the mountain fire.
Oh.
About everybody that was able were up there fighting it. Walter Smith handled that, and he did a good job. It was a big job. And
He
we
was
could
chief then?
pick that.
He was chief then?
He was chief, and he was
Uh-huh.
a fire warden too.
Yeah.
Chief fire warden. They set up a camp over in Canaan. The National Guard from Laconia came, and they had all their equipment there. They had telephone lines run up the mountain. And they brought in a group of prisoners from down at the Portsmouth Navy Yard.
Mm.
And I remember one thing that was interesting. I had a half a day off from the thing. I'd been operating the switchboard. I went down to get a haircut, and Osbury Dow, who was one of the old tax collectors in town, was down there. And he said it's foolish. He said they're spending a lot of money they don't need to spend. He said the mountain, the fire will die of its own accord as it comes down the mountain, and that's just about what happened. I mean, a fire will go up a mountain to beat the devil, but it doesn't travel down so good. And that was about the answer to it. But we set out, the trees were not as, there weren't all the trees out down the road that there are here now. And we set out on the wall and watched that at night, and you'd see big fir trees, you'd see a glare up, and then that'd be all there'd be to it. It was really something.
Well, how many days did it last?
Oh, it went on for a couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did it start?
It started just below Black Snow. One of the fire wardens went up there to check it. What had happened, it was a lightning strike.
Uh-huh.
And he found it, and he couldn't stay with it, and he had to come back. He had sickness in the family. And by the time they got up there, of course it was dry. I mean, we'd had dry years.
Yeah.
It really had taken off. And went, covered a lot of area.
Well, when I think of Black Snow, when I lived on Ledge Hill.
You could look right over and see it.
Yeah.
It's the peak just to the left below it when you're looking from Ledge Hill.
Okay.
There's a little peak just below the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. So then it went up and over towards Tuftonboro then? Is that
Yeah, it
what
went
you're
in toward
saying?
Tuftonboro, right.
Uh-huh.
It never did get on ashore. It went more toward the Ossipes.
Oh.
If you were over where Bill Wood lives,
Yeah.
that whole ridge along there was burned because later in the summer, you could see the new growth of trees. I mean, the new growth of leaves. They were lighter than they should be, but
Yeah, because
it was scary.
when Ken Craig came over to list our house up on the hill
Yeah.
when we were thinking of selling it, and he said he could remember coming up onto Ledge Hill and watching the fire
Yeah.
because he was a kid at the time.
Yeah.
And he said you can, if you really know what you're looking for, you can see the fire lines
Right.
still. I could never quite make it out because I wasn't positive of that, but
See, we had a number of years back at that period that were dry, real dry, and we had a lot of problem with fires. Well, it got so bad one time that here on the neck, we blocked the road and just allowed people to come in who we knew who could give a reason for coming in. And it was true all around here. I mean, I don't know whether it was so, but they claimed a lot of fires get started from cars. Because this was after the war, and you had a lot of cars that were not too good in the mufflers, I suppose, to put out sparks. It was dry, and there would be spotty fires all over the place. That's kind of scary too, and of course, you didn't have the water you got today. Sources of water.
Yeah, when you're talking about sparks and lightning and all, I can remember my brother going up and fighting that fire up at Bar Harbor.
Yeah.
I've forgotten when that was,
Yeah.
but...
That was the same time
What's it
as
about
these
that
fires
time?
around here, and of course we had fires over at Ossipee Lake. And down in Maine, we went down, the fire department and groups of the fire department went down in Maine for Oxford County for a week, I guess. I remember one night they had a fire over in Ossipee Lake, and I called Tuftonboro to go over. And Don Mugridge and Carlton Eldridge, I don't know if you remember Carlton, lived over at the corner, and his son, myself, and Tuftonboro had a, well, they called it a portable at that day, but it was a cast iron, a big cast iron, heavy damn thing. And we lugged it way down the woods. Don, poor old Don, was kind of crippled.
Oh, yeah.
So we got it down there, and then Rochester had a group of people up there, and they had their hose. The damned old engine was so powerful. Their hose was so damn rotten that every time you get hooked up and get ready to go, you'd blow a piece of their hose.
Not much water got where you really need it.
No, you're right.
Oh, dear. Those darn hoses alive enough as it is.
Right. We've got a good fire department now,
Yeah, we do. We do.
the whole situation. Were you with the Whopper Fire Department? Your brother?
My uncle.
Your uncle? Oh, gee. That's what 83 does to you.
Forget relationships.
The whole generation there.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us how you met your wife and what you did on a date back then.
Oh, gee.
Oh.
What was there to do in Tuftonboro?
Well, there wasn't a great deal.
No.
But we went to high school together. This might be a little bit interesting too. When we started high school, there was no provision made for transportation at all. I mean, when you got out of grammar school, that was it. You shifted for yourself. So we got to go the best way we could. Barbara's folks, they paid Red Hilliard, and that was a neighbor.
And Roger Davis.
Huh?
And Roger
Davis to carry him. And the first few months that I went, my folks paid half a bean. And then my father died, and I was out of school for a while, and then when I went back, why, it was, money wasn't so plentiful.
No.
And so we got there the best way we could. And then this Piper and I, we could usually get a ride down. There was a fellow that lived across the street that worked at Horn's garage, and he'd give us a ride down. And then we'd have to come back with Shanks Mayor, you know.
And you're talking about going down to Brewster.
Brewster, yeah.
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 Oh, yeah.
And then, I guess it was the next spring, I was 16, I was old enough so I could get a license, and then that's the way we went. And that's how Barbara and I met in high school. And we went together, and we went to dances, and we went to the movies, and then we had a group that used to come up in the summertime we used to have good times with. We'd get down to the casino down at Wolfboro.
Oh, where was that?
Oh, it was, do you know where, now let me see. Colonial Arms? You know where that is? Directly across the road. It was right down on the beach.
Yeah.
It's now condominiums down there.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a beautiful place. It was right over the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to have some real good times.
On a moonlight night, it was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Of course.
And it was
Yes.
bowling alley down underneath the pool room.
Uh-huh.
Ansel Sandman ran it. He ran the movies in Wolfboro too. The movies were originally operated in the Masonic Temple. And then population grew, he moved up to the town hall.
Yeah, that's I can remember going
Yeah.
there when I went to
And
LMA.
then
Yeah.
it really got so big that he ran movies in both places at one time.
Uh-huh. No, it's all gone.
Yeah, and the bowling alleys too, and that's too bad.
Mm.
Because I think a bowling alley now would really pay. I really do. I think the one that Brad Hunter had, if it had been an older person who didn't require much money, I mean, had been running it, I think it would pay. Of course, it's time consuming.
Yeah, it sure is. What you
Yeah,
get
there
ready?
isn't a thing for the young people to do.
No.
No bowling alley, no movies, no.
They don't even have dances anymore. Really? Well, Mark's group plays for dances, but not young people's kind of dances. Do you?
Well, actually, I don't really have a group. My family used to have a family band that played
Yeah.
for some things. There was also the Dearborn Orchestra, which was
Uh-huh.
led by my grandfather and my grandmother. And they played the Grange Halls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That small dances, people had a lot of fun.
Mm.
For years, right there in the village, it was the village dining room for a while.
In Melbourne,
In Melbourne
Oh,
Village,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Originally, it was the old Stackpole store.
Uh-huh.
But they ran dances, the men's club, the Melbourne Men's Club ran dances there.
Mhm.
And you had a lot of fun. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
every week, and you had a lot of fun. Then they moved it up to the historical building now. And it never seemed to be quite the same. I mean, it just
Mm.
wasn't the same.
Now, when you talk about the old Stackpole place, is that where Rainbow's End restaurant was? Is that the place you're talking about? Where
No,
Molia's are now?
no, let me see. Take the church, start with the church.
Yeah.
You come back down the same side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the apartment house,
Yes.
and it's the next little building right there.
Yeah, well, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Stackpole
Uh-huh.
ran a grocery store there, and he lived up beyond the Severance place. The next house up there
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
lived there. The old fellow, I can remember my father going up. He was town clerk, getting his license, and he held his hand like that, and a pen, and he was a beautiful penman. But I never could figure out how he could do it. And holding his hand that way,
Oh. It's almost like a lefty.
And of course,
what
you know,
they can do it.
across the street from there, where the nice big place, the Pope place is,
Mm-hmm.
there was a store, a two-story building there and a store there. And then up where the dam is, there was a grist mill
Uh-huh.
in there. And also there was a casket factory on the
Oh,
river
heaven's
there,
sakes.
in back of Marion Roby's store.
Really?
Yeah. During World War I, my father raised wheat down here in the field,
Uh-huh.
had it cradled and took it up there and had it threshed, and had flour ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember the flour was, of course it wasn't bleached.
Oh, what do we?
And when you made the bread, it was sort of a yellow.
Uh-huh.
But it was tasty, it was real tasty.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had the brands and the middling and so forth.
Well, Melton was a really bustling community then, with
Oh, yeah.
about two stores anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had the inn there, you know, that's the church part.
Yeah. I know, that's a shame that that had to be taken down, but, dear,
Well, I imagine they're just in bad repair anyway.
yeah.
I hate to see buildings like that torn down when there are so many homeless people in the world today.
True, true.
This, the picture I showed you of Charlie Hissey,
Mm-hmm.
when Barbara and I were living up at Turkey Ridge, working up there, we used to go down to the store. In wintertime, sometimes it'd be a lot of time that you just go down there. It's nice to see somebody else, somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, there'd be some thing happen, and they'd call up for the police. And the whole Turkeys, they called him. He had to get his coat on. He had to get a badge on. He had a special coat he had to wear for the job. But I always said by the time that he got down to the store to find out where it was all over anyway.
Oh, dear. Well, I guess the police department is getting bigger now. They're going to hire
One more man.
2 full-time men.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
But we don't seem to have an awful lot of problems anyway, do we? I mean, I suppose we have more than we know about, but
Yeah. Thank heavens. Oh,
Can you tell us how Pickerel Corner got its name? Do you know any stories about that?
mackerel corner, you mean?
Mackerel Corner. Pickerel.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking another kind of fish.
No.
Mackerel Corner.
No, I can't. Really. Dishwater Mills
yeah,
was Mirror Lake.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's, they tell about that in the little old history of the town. There's a story on that mackerel corner, but I can't remember what it is.
I
And you
vaguely remember, maybe I made it up, that somebody had a load of fish that fell over.
It could be.
But,
Then they had...
but mackerel, you don't usually think of mackerel
No.
in center Tuftonboro.
No.
Then they had
Mackerel's a
Federal
saltwater
Corner.
fish, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, I never could see where there was much
I
at Federal
see.
Corner. There was a little schoolhouse up there. We had a lot of schools that have disappeared. There was a little school just down below us here. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember the old schoolhouse. They moved from there too.
There's one on the Ledge Hill Road.
There's one on the Ledge Hill Road, right?
There was.
Yeah. And then of course there was the one that I mentioned up right there at Federal Corner. That's right where that nice house is on the corner now, new house. And then they had the Tuftonboro Corner, the Melvin Village, and the two at the center.
2.
You had the one where Tupac lives, and then the other one down where Mrs. Brooks Bacini lived.
Oh,
The lower school, they called it.
you heard that she died?
Yeah.
William Brooks.
Yeah.
That's right.
Ah.
Yeah, you went to church.
You know, over at the center, Lou McIntyre, he was a strong-willed, very strong-willed man. Served as selectman for a long while. And he probably was...
Relation to Dell and Sel
He was,
McIntyre.
he was Dell's father, young Dell's grandfather. And I guess Selden was his brother. Selden McIntyre. But Lou was an expert carpenter. I mean, and he knew the square. I mean, he knew he could do everything with the square. I mean, he was a student on it. And he did a lot of building around here.
Mhm.
And he was a great hunter, great fisherman. So was Dell.
Well, what did you do as a living?
What did I do?
Yeah.
Well, I worked as a caretaker up at Turkey Ridge for
Uh,
a number of years, and then Barbara and I got through there, and I went to work with Eddie Hodgson.
oh.
Then I worked for him, and then after he went, I went to work for myself as a builder.
Oh, I didn't know you were a
Yeah,
builder.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. We had real good years.
Mhm. Right.
I built 3 places at Ball Peak.
Uh-huh.
A lot of other little, I built Don March a house over at Martin Hill, which was
Mhm.
right above where you live.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a nice place.
Right.
Still is. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, how many years in total did you serve as a selectman?
I think 12 years. Because I served foolishly. I don't know why I even accepted it the last time. What years was that, I wonder? It was, anyway, it was probably 15 years ago now, I guess, anyway. I served with Roy, I guess you're right. Roy Johnson and Charlie
Mhm.
and Thad Coleman.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We served together.
Mhm.
That was a good guy. That last time I served, we built, we did away with the old privy, the woodshed. And that was pretty late in life that was still the same way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we decided Roy, because Roy, that just didn't go awful big with Roy.
Oh.
And he just figured it had to go.
Mhm.
So it went, and we put in a well, put in the toilet rooms,
Uh-huh.
a little kitchen,
Yeah.
so it made the building more,
More usable.
yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
I always hoped they would dig out underneath it, put a basement underneath the building and use it, but I think I can see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
The town's gonna have to build it,
Yeah, they're going down
yeah.
to the old
I
Piper
think
place.
eventually
Yeah.
they'll do more than just that building too.
Yeah. Well, I always had the impression that the townhouse is sitting on a ledge. I don't know why.
No, I don't think so. I think that
Really?
is pretty much of a sandbank underneath. I think the ledge all out around.
Yeah, yeah. So I just assumed it.
I just hope they don't abandon it because it's a historical building. They tell me that the first years that they used it, there were no, it wasn't finished inside at all. It was just open. As a matter of fact, there wasn't a floor even.
Well, how could you use
And
it?
then as they went on, they had, as I understand, they had seats around the outside edge of it, and that was it.
What do you mean, it was a sand floor?
Just a sand floor, I suppose. And then gradually they got the blower in, and there's some pictures of it that look pretty rustic.
I would think so. It was, when I think of people going to the old town house, I think of Sandy Dow describing Mabel Ayres, who used to own our house.
Yeah,
And he said she never walked anywhere, she loped.
yeah.
And he said she would just lope down the hill to go to town
She
meeting.
would, right.
Yeah, and then run back up again. Did you know her, Bears?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
he was character.
I guess so. I wish I'd
They
known it.
both were characters, really. I mean,
Oh, yeah. What I hear of Mabel.
she was a good-hearted person, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if anyone was sick or anyone was in trouble,
Yeah.
she was always
Mhm.
there to help. I mean,
Well, I think of her as the original woman's liver from the stories I've heard about.
right.
Doing her own,
Her-
putting her own roof on when she was in her 80s.
Right.
Oh, my.
Don March tried to buy the property from her.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
She wouldn't have anything to do with him at all. Who did you folks buy it from?
Well, it was bought, Peter Cook, who lived in Massachusetts, and I think, yeah, his wife was a Procter and Gamble. So he had money to spend.
Yeah.
And he came up here, and I guess he had a summer place in Ospey and used to drive by all the time, and he wanted to buy it. But, of course, she wouldn't sell. So then he heard she died, and he immediately called the daughter,
Yeah, I know who she was. Lived in Wopro.
yeah, I can't think of her name now. And she sold it to him within a few months
Mhm.
because nobody in the family had the money to take care of it.
Right.
And so he bought it primarily for speculation. He didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah. I think he owned it maybe about a year, maybe less than a year, when we came up and saw the sign and Bob Smith took us up to see it.
Yeah.
And I look at the pictures now and I think, what did we buy?
I think
But it
Ross
was
Adson
wonderful.
and she were.
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably didn't know. Do you remember Ross Adson? I think he and she were brother and sister, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Mabel was an agitator.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she came from that house right up by Tuftonboro Corner Church. Yeah.
You know, you remember Ross. He was quite a character too. When during during the beginning of the war, when gasoline was short, he got a school bus job, and he bought a school bus. He bought a real school bus. So people were having a hard time getting to town, and then he started to run a bus.
Oh.
I guess he ran it every day, didn't he? I wasn't home, so I didn't know what went on, but
No, I don't think he ran every day. He
anyway.
ran a couple of nights. My sister and I used to go down that night. We used to have a ball.
Go down,
No,
you mean to Wolfboro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stayed with my sister while Bob was in the...
But Ross was the kind of a guy that he always had his eye out for a dollar.
Uh-huh.
And he'd be driving that old bus around, he'd see somebody out here cutting some wood. And he'd go dicker with them and buy the wood for a little nothing and then sell it. And
Good for him.
this is just, he made more money just riding around the bus than most people made working all day.
Well, he had an eye out for the deal.
Yeah,
He called the dances, the square dance,
Yeah,
the
sure.
last bicentennial.
Oh,
he was good too. I mean,
Yeah,
he's-
yeah.
he really knew how to do it.
Mhm.
He used to have a good time at dances too. I'm telling you, boy, he really had a good time.
I went to his 82nd birthday party, and he was doing a pretty good soft shoe imitation.
Right. He had a, well, the lady used to come up and stay with him there after his wife died. And we went over to a dance over to the school one night. Boy, I mean, he really danced around there.
Was he tall and thin too? Mabel's picture, the one picture I've seen of her, she was
No,
quite
he was-
tall. and-
He was
Ross-
stocky.
Oh, was
Stocky,
he?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He and Carol Lamprey were real good friends. We grew up together
Uh-huh.
there at the center, you know. You never knew Lamprey?
Mm-mm.
Carol was very interested in the Historical Society.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
I think I've seen his name in various places.
Yeah, I think he donated a lot of those boat pictures. The Lampreys were always
Yeah.
on the lake, I mean, and owned boats and owned things pertaining to the lake,
Uh-huh.
barges and so forth.
Yeah.
And his cousin, Kurth, what was the other guy's name? Bought a place up in Sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And he made those little oxen, the oxen with the logs.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
He actually made those himself.
Okay.
And he was interested. He used to go. He, Dick Kurth, his name was.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ed Kurth owned a place way up on the North Line Road. I don't know who owns it now. Piper, the builder's got a place up there now.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, those boys, Ed and Dick, were cousins of Carol Lampreys. They went to Leipzig and studied music,
Oh, really?
and the both of them played in the Boston Symphony Orchestra.
Very nice. Yeah, Lamprey is a big name in Sandwich. I think that's where I've seen the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lamprey Lane
yeah.
Oh,
Moultonboro.
sure.
A lot of Lampreys in Moultonboro, too.
Yeah.
is Lamprey Lane the where they
That's
used to
Carol,
live?
where
That's
Carol lived.
Uh-huh.
Carol's father, Rob Lamprey, owned the place originally. And then he inherited it. He had a half-sister, Bertha Shepherd,
Oh,
in Melton.
sure.
You know a place that's got a view is, do you know where Arthur Davis lives?
I'm not sure.
It's up by, at Louis
The county road.
Gilman County Road, right?
Okay.
It is the most beautiful view you ever saw in your life.
Mm.
You look out over the mountains, over Osprey Mountains,
Yeah.
and then you turn around and you look up, you can see all Ball Peak, and all the way up into the Sandwich
Oh,
Mountains,
my.
you know. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
lovely.
And it's accessible. I mean, most always when you get a view, it's not accessible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Goodness.
That, when Barbara and I were up at LaFavor's, or up at Turkey Ridge, that was all dirt road up there. Because there was no hidden valley. But there was an old fellow down below, Charlie Brown. Charlie was probably in his late 70s when I got acquainted with him. But he might just as well been my age because we got along beautiful.
Yeah.
I gained a lot out of life listening to him and seeing how he did things.
Yeah.
He was an old timer that lived way back in the sticks. But he had Devon cattle that were real good blooded cattle, you know. And he always was experimenting with different seeds, different things. And raised beautiful potatoes. And he had seed that he had gotten from someone down the street. And when I was there, the seed was 40 years old. But he kept picking out the good potatoes, you know. He'd save the best, he'd watch the hills,
Yeah.
and he'd save them, and he kept them coming. And
That's been very good potatoes.
that was beautiful down there then.
Yeah.
All those hills now that are all grown up to pine trees and so forth are all open. And what he used to haul his hay, some of that was so steep that he had made a board to go underneath the rear wheels of his hay rack, so to snub it and hold it back.
Uh-huh.
because the horse never could have held up
Of
load
course
hay,
not,
as
yeah.
steep as the hills were there.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Milton Hodges.
Uh-huh.
And she was the one that gave those pictures that are along the side of the church.
Yes, yes, yes.
She was a very talented person.
She certainly was, yeah.
She made one time I was visiting them, and she made well, I don't know exactly what you call it, but it was a plain, and the houses all the way to Wolfboro, and Wolfboro Village was laid out on it in painting, I mean.
You mean like a mural?
Right.
An aerial view?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But she had many talents. I mean,
Certainly did.
and that, at the, an awful interesting thing at the museum, the slides, the kaleidoscope slides that he gave, that takes you back with a lot of the older people in town.
Yeah.
Ross is among those.
The stereoptic thing
Yeah.
you're talking about, yeah. Yeah, I've looked at a few of those.
It's the same old thing as you used to,
Yeah,
except it's more up to date.
I see. Oh,
I've got a great-grandfather that's buried in the cemetery, Remick Cemetery up by Howes. He was his name was Boyd.
uh-huh.
He was a veteran of the War of 1812. And my grandmother Straw was a Hoyt. She came from Tuftonboro. She married a Stevens that owned the place where, what's the man's name that used to run the store, sold out, and they bought the house up there? Ted Hebden.
Oh yeah.
She owned that, and she was married to a Stevens. He died, and she married my grandfather, Straw. And they lived on the Dame Road, I guess I said. So I'm back 3 generations from.
Yeah.
I'm third generation.
Yeah.
I feel like a newcomer.
But you know, the thing is that about the country, as you've lived this long, it was pretty primitive, really, back, well, when I was a kid, when I was 10 or 12 years old, as compared to today. 1927, the power came here.
That's what Charlie was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an old fellow by the name of Powers. My father and I were working out in the garage. He had bought a Fairbanks Morse engine, and he was about to use it part of the time for sawing his wood, and the rest of the time with a generator to make electricity. And of course, the old fellow came along and he told about they built the dam up at Bristol. Well, I don't think anybody around here realized that the dam was being built at all.
No,
And he
probably
signed
not.
up everybody to take power. And of course, everybody happily did.
Sure. Yeah, Charlie talked about his father going out and digging the holes for the poles
Yeah.
in front of his house.
Right?
Yeah.
But that was quite an event, the night you pulled
Yeah.
the light chain. Then they had
Oh.
the 2 groups. They had the groups that ran the lines, and then they had another group that did the wiring.
Oh.
And I've got the original bill that they gave my father for doing
Really?
the wiring here.
Oh.
And it wasn't much. I mean, it was pretty meager as compared to today, because the wiring was too. Then you had no refrigeration. Everybody depended on cutting ice and putting it in
Sure.
an ice house.
Yeah.
I think probably it's hard for some younger people to really imagine, you know, the women are the ones that really took the beating in those days. I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
everything they did, it was hard. I mean,
Yeah,
washing clothes,
everything by hand, pretty
everything
much.
by
yeah.
hand, right?
Well, Bob, I can't think of much of anything else to ask you. At the moment,
Well,
unless
there's probably
you
a
can-
million things we could talk about.
Yeah, I know it, I
We
know
just,
it. Uh-huh.
we lost a good fellow when we lost Dennis Piper out here. He was
Oh, yes.
a good neighbor, and he was
Yes.
a good, good citizen for the
Yeah.
community.
Mm. I think I met him just once
Right.
when I first came to town.
He was really a self-educated
Mhm.
man too. He had a lot of ability. I mean, he'd get interested in something, and he'd go right through it. I mean, he'd
Mm.
get the information and follow it right through. He had a beautiful collection of Indian relics.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Wonder what happened to
I
him.
don't know. I never did know. We found a few, but I don't know what became of them.
Obviously, he didn't give them to the Historical Society, because I think they'd be down there if he
They
did.
would be down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have a family?
No.
Hmm.
Whether he had loaned them to somebody or what had happened before he died. But, he had a lot of them. He found them all right there. That was apparently a weir
Uh-huh.
where the Indians settled in
Mhm.
the spring, because he'd find them, these relics, every year in the garden when he'd be
Mhm.
working there. And then he found a place where they had ground grain in the ledges out in back of the house.
Really? Oh, fascinating. Be great to dig underneath and see what all is going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I suppose after you find a few, then you're pretty careful. You're watching all the time pretty
Yeah.
closely.
Yeah. I found just a few shards of things up on the hill.
Yeah.
But not enough to do much of any good.
He had pottery shard that he found
Yeah, I bet
out
he
there
did.
too.
Mm-hmm. Mm. You wonder if the Trubies have found any in their house.
I don't think
You
so.
think so?
Because after Ernest died, everyone said that they wondered if somebody wouldn't dig up a can outside and find money in it too. I mean,
Oh.
I don't think they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can you think of anything else we should add, Barbara?
No, not really, I don't think.
Hmm. Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Well, I hope that I told the story correctly.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Who are we to judge? We'll never know.
I think it's a good thing to do this.
Yes, yes, it is.
You know, the one thing that we do, we don't, our generation today don't try to keep, we don't remember, we don't write things down.
No, no.
It's, one time Carol Lamprey said to me, said, why don't you go to the Historical Society? Why don't you join it? And I didn't have much of an answer to him. He said, you know, he said, it don't make much difference what it is. He says, if Joe Dokes sets a hen, it's history.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right. But we don't keep records of
No,
things.
no, all these little day-by-day things that
Yeah.
are really of interest.
They're gone, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of major things, I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that Mark brought up the fire, because that was before my time, and I hadn't thought about it. Yeah.
I was just a little baby at the time.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It was quite the thing at that time, though. People were interested, really interested.
Well, after all, you see something coming up and over the mountains
Right.
at you. Beginning to
It
wonder.
burnt on the Canaan Valley side around that way?
Yeah. They followed I couldn't tell you where it was now or how they got there, but they bulldozed roads up in there. They followed the river, right along the river. I made one trip up, and that was the last one, as far as I was concerned. I didn't want any more of it. But,
The Melvin River you're talking about?
I think it would be the brook that comes down by Tom Hunter's there.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Fields Brook.
Oh, that's what it is, yeah.
And Sam Colby worked up in there with his bulldozer. And he got sick of it, boy. I mean, he said you get out on those damn ledges,
Yeah.
and you didn't know whether you were going to go down or whether you were going to go back. But what they were trying to do was to make a fire
Yeah.
trench, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't much to make a fire trench with
No.
up there in the mountains.
Nope.
It's very steep on that side, too.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
You ever go up the Shaw Trail up to the...
I've been all over the mountains. I
Yeah.
think.
We used to go up by that brook below Tom Hunter's. That was one of the things Bob and I used to do, the whole gang of us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime during the summer, there was a trail that went right up through there.
Uh-huh.
I tried to find that probably when I was like 14 or 15, and I lost the trail and I ended up just heading up,
Yeah.
which was very difficult.
I've lost it coming down. Lost it one time. I was up there with Kid Edgerly and I went up, and we came down to the road. We couldn't figure out, there was a storm coming too, and that was one thing that we ended up by walking the whole damn road down to Castle in the Clouds, Plants, and back down. There was some walk. Those roads went all over the place up there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had to be careful there or you'd get fouled up, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the kids went up the trail behind Tom Hunter's place. Up over, what is it, Bald Knob? Or-
Yeah, Bald Knob,
yeah. And then they got fouled up.
Yeah.
And ended up coming way out
Right.
by Castle in the Clouds and having to walk all the way down 171 there back to the car. Yeah.
See, they had logged up in the mountains there quite a lot back, well, a number of years before we used to go up there. So there were sort of trails up in there.
Yeah.
Oh, we used to climb all Peaks a lot. That was fun.
Yeah.
Little story Fred Foss used to tell about. Fred Foss lived down in the 109A, right in the town line in Wolfboro.
Uh-huh.
He worked in the mountains when they were cutting timber up there. And they were cutting timber for Peavy, who built the Peavy block in Wolfboro.
Uh-huh.
And the way they got the timber down, they sluiced it down. They built sluice and slide it down that way.
Yeah,
And
that's a
that
good
came
idea.
down into Canaan. And he told, they had camps up in the woods they stayed in. Weekends they'd come home, they'd take the shovel and go down that sluice way with that.
I'll just ride the
Yeah.
shovel, yeah.
And later years, I was working down at the TV block. And Howard Avery owned it, the Avery family now own it. But Howard told me that Peavy, the man that built the building, cut all the timber on the mountain and had it milled and built the building. But he paid every man every day.
Uh-huh.
And nobody ever went home that didn't get paid. This is the way he did it. I mean, he
Very good.
insisted on paying every man every day.
Good way to do it.
They don't like to do it that way though now, because you take those shackles out of drawing a little interest.
Oh, sure, sure.
You got a good choir,
Well, thank you.
really good.
Yeah. Well, we have a good leader. It's fun.
Yeah, I bet it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, Don keeps us on our toes. Yeah.
particularly when things are going nice like that. And I mean, you get a lot of pride in it.
Oh, yes, yes.
The bell choir is nice too.
Yeah, yeah,
That's good.
yeah. They're going to be playing, I guess, soon. I know they've been doing a lot of practicing, so. We'll get your room back together here again.
Do you have anything you'd like to add, Mrs. Straw? I can put the camera on you and you can tell us a little recollection of something.
Sorry, I don't want to